Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Culp, the publisher and CEO at CUInsight.com, and thank you for tuning in for our quick discussion today, the second in our series. This discussion is all about taking care of your staff and leading during really challenging times. Joining me are three credit union CEOs. We're so glad that they were able to join us. Rhonda Hotard from Louisiana Federal Credit Union. Hi, Rhonda.
Hey, how you doing, Lauren?
Good. How are you?
Good, doing good.
Good. We also have Bill Cheney from Schools First Federal Credit Union. How are you, Bill?
Hi, Lauren. I'm good.
Okay,
Greetings
good.
from Southern California.
Yes, yes. And Brian Schools from Chartway Federal Credit Union. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Lauren.
Thank you all so much for taking some time. You know, these are really challenging times. We've been hearing a lot in the news and seeing a lot in the credit union space specifically. And I know many folks out there, myself included, and maybe all of you, are stressed, and there's a lot of anxiety and some worries going around. And so I wanted to take the chance to talk to the three of you specifically, as you're all credit union CEOs. I want to talk about taking care of your staff during a time like this. I know as leaders, as managers, it's always a heavy burden wanting to make sure that your staff are taken care of, but especially heavy during a time like this. Rhonda, I know you're located in Louisiana. You've got some experience taking care of people during other natural disasters. So could you give us sort of a summary of what happens in Louisiana and what have you learned leading people during those types of times?
Well, I can tell you, for us in Louisiana, we are always ridden with hurricanes, hurricane season. If you ever hear people talk about Louisiana and the seasons we have, and it's a big joke because we have football season and crawfish season and hurricane season. And, so we have to deal with that a lot. And I think one of the biggest things is to try to be prepared. And when it's a situation like a natural disaster, we can kind of prep for those scenarios. We kind of talk about it. We update our plan every year, every time something happens. No storm, no natural disaster is ever the same. So you go through it and then you go back and you think about what you could have done differently. So I think the key for us has always been to just try to scenario play, role play, and try to make sure that we are planning as best as we can. I know obviously what we're going through right now was very difficult to plan for because it happened so quickly. But
right.
So yeah, hurricanes, flooding, all of those things living along the Mississippi River are always challenging for us.
Have you found that your staff need like sort of a different level of management during times like that?
Yes, absolutely. I think for me, what I've learned, I've been doing this job for a long time. What I've learned is there are two, I think, very critical factors that you need to make sure that you have a good hold on. And that's one of the things is confidence. I think as a leader going through times like this, that if you can exhibit some sense of confidence and bring with that a calmness for your staff, they look to you to be able to lead through times like this. And it's very difficult sometimes to maintain that level of confidence and calmness when you're going through it yourself. You're in the middle of it with everyone else. But you have to be able to demonstrate to them that you're confident in what you're doing. You're going to get through it. You stay positive, focus on the good things, and know that we're going to get through this. And I think the second big thing that I've learned is communication and how important that is. When your staff understands and you're communicating with them regularly and they understand the expectation, they understand what you're doing for them, they understand that you're meeting and you're staying on top of it, even though you may not have all the answers, even though you may not know what tomorrow's bringing, you communicate with them what you do know and what you're going to do about it. And I think that gives them just a real sense of peace to get through something like this. And it's just so important for people to have that sense because the world around them is falling apart and they don't need to come to work and feel that same kind of anxiety and stress when you're going through such a stressful time.
Right. Yeah, Brian, you were telling me a little bit about another incident, a natural disaster that happened to your staff.
Just to pile on, so we have probably 60% of our business in Virginia, about 25% in Utah, and a little bit in Houston, Texas. At 9 a.m. every day, we've been doing a Zoom call with all of our leadership just to kind of be sure where we were. And 2 weeks ago, our most senior person in Utah started doing this in the beginning of the call, and we couldn't quite figure out what was going on until we realized we were actually watching an earthquake live. So everything Rhonda just said about confidence and calm, I agree. The anxieties that team already had because of the pandemic only
Right.
just multiplied that much more with all of that. So it was probably the 3 days after that, we were really shoring up, especially on those people. So yeah, that was
That's
sort of double trouble.
right. No kidding. Well, so you mentioned, so you've got some of your folks in Utah and you said in Texas. So I know a lot of our teams are working remotely now and maybe not used to working remotely. Sounds like you've already been experiencing having to lead and inspire people remotely. So can you tell us a little bit about your approach to doing that?
Yeah, so calm and confident. I agree with everything Rhonda just said. I would add two other words: connection and kindness. So we had to spend probably 3 years ago. We spent a lot of time coming together culturally and bringing one family together at Chartway, because there used to be an East and a West and that sort of thing, and we really got connected. With everybody dispersed even more now in their homes, we've got a cadence of standard communications that go from a voicemail from me every Monday morning, a video of me every Friday afternoon. And this past Friday was actually joined by my board of directors. Our COO is sending an email every morning. Every group starts off with a team huddle. My team does that. The 9 a.m. our huddle was the earthquake. Just staying so connected in all of this. We don't want people, whether they're at home or whether they have to be in a branch, to feel isolated. So we're all about that. The other thing we did is, I guess it maybe sounded a little corny at the beginning, but we decided to go with it. When we first saw this coming, we said, we need everybody to simply, 2 words, be kind. Because I think all of us have our own anxieties. Your families have your anxieties. Members have their anxieties. And people are going to get amped up about something at some point. And I think we all just sort of need to let it go and help each other. So to me, it was all about connection and kindness. And so far it's working. We're getting a lot of really good feedback on it.
That's great. Well, I definitely think the kindness piece is one that's easy to overlook when everyone's really thinking about themselves and, making it through. So thank you for sharing that about leading that way. Bill, I wanted to ask you too, you've got a huge credit union that you lead. So I know you're not always working directly with all of your employees. That would be impossible. So I'm curious, how do you empower your leaders to take care of their people? So you've got, leaders over leaders over leaders over people. How do you empower all of those folks to take care of their people and maybe lead with kindness too?
Yeah, great question and great points, Rhonda and Brian. It's we talk a lot about empowerment in our organization. It's one of our team values, leadership values, and but it's never been more important than it is right now. We have 64 branches, most of which are still open. We have some campus locations and some in-store branches that we've closed, but the vast majority of our branches are still open. We don't have drive-throughs in California, so and we need to serve our members. They need us more now than ever. So, but I can't be at every branch location. I can't. I mean, we have a branch here in this building, but I'm not out there talking to our members every day, and our team is. And so that empowerment of making sure our managers know if they see something, they have the absolute authority, and we need them to take action, whether that's something with a member or something with a team member. We're here to help them. And we're communicating to the points that Rhonda and Brian made much more often right now with everyone in our organization, our board of directors, our team, our members. It's so important, that back and forth communication of what's happening. There's such a range of emotions, and we see it with our team and we see it with our members. We see it with our families. Why the governor said everybody should stay home. Why do you have to go to work?
Right.
Got it.
Right.
I get that every night.
Right. So, but we're an essential service, and our team is essential. And, early on, some of the questions we were getting, talk about kindness. Some of the questions that we were getting were, all these people are getting laid off. Am I going to get laid off? Well, I guess part of the good news in being an essential service is we need our team now more than ever. And so nobody's going to get laid off. We communicated that early on. That was a great comfort to people. We have a lot of people. Before this happened in March, we had 146 full-time telecommuters in our organization. out of 2,400 employees.
Wow.
And more than half of our team now is working from home.
Wow.
That happened in less than a month. And so, but not everybody can work from home. If you're serving members in a branch, you can't work from home. And so we've adjusted our hours, and we've installed plexiglass barriers to better protect the team. And it's just amazing how much things have changed in such a short period of time. And the team has been great, but they are dealing with different pressures at home and different pressures in the workplace. And it's just the communication in both directions, and making sure that they understand that we appreciate what they're going through, even if we can't understand everything that they're going through. We appreciate what they're doing.
You know, one of the things that Bill just said, we're in the same case. We have some people in a branch, some people at home. It's not very often, but we've had a couple cases of that person gets to work at home, or that person gets to go to the branch with a little bit of, I don't know, regret, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And we've spent a little bit of time trying to have peer-to-peer communication, in a sense on, it may sound great at home, but when you got a 4-year-old tugging on your leg all day, right, or if you're in the branch doing something, so nobody really has it perfect in this.
Right.
And really, we're trying to kind of level the playing field that way.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Lauren. Some of our team so not everybody can work from home. Not everyone has a home that's conducive to working from home, whether it's children at home or just maintaining our members' privacy when you're at home. Sure. We have team members who can't come to work because the schools are shut down, and they have children at home, and they have to be there to provide care to their children, including some of our branch team and other departments. So we also have team members whose basically their job function has completely changed. I'll give you an example. We have a membership development team, and they go to schools and events and promote the credit union and serve our members. There are no more school events.
Right.
There are no more events. And so we're actually redeploying and retraining those people to help in other departments where they need the help, because someone has to stay home with their kids because they have no childcare option. And so it's a team effort for sure.
It is. Well, I was talking to one credit union CEO who was trying to find some good strategies for his people, and they actually did a credit union Costco run. So they let their staff they each take a credit at Costco, and they went, the administration went and brought some stuff back for their staff from Costco. And we're seeing so many creative solutions as people are trying to take care of their people during a time like this. If you're a parent, like you said, or if you've got something else, or you have to be at the branch. So I'm curious, have any of you come up with some other good strategies? I know we talked about communication and taking, a lot of kindness and all of that. Are there any other good strategies that you found to take care of your people during this time?
One of the things, and I guess for us, it would be record time. Sometimes I think certain technology pieces take a long time. But in about 13 or 14 days, we were able to get our member solutions center, our contact center, such that people could take calls at home with the right security protocols on their PCs and all this sort of thing. So that, while it's not necessarily doing anything outside of work, we tried to put work in a better environment for them, right, and alternative shifts as well. So if they're at home, maybe it's 4 p.m. until late at night or what have you. But if it was 3 weeks ago, we didn't have that ability. So we turned that around completely. And that's been a big hit with a lot of people in the Member Solutions Center.
That was the same thing happened with us. Very similar experience, but in a very short, record time, we were able to deploy about 75% of our staff to work from home, including call center and all those things. And the same thing, I think that from a staff perspective, when they see you doing things like that they've never seen you do before, it really makes them realize how much you care. I mean, we got feedback from staff saying the management team has done so much. We see what you guys have done. They're on the peripheral looking at it, but they're looking in going, wow, they really care about us, because they're making sure that we can still do our jobs in a safe and effective way.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've deployed a lot of people. As I mentioned earlier, we have made it possible for much more of our team to work from home. Somehow our IT department found 560 computers that they could provision and get out to our team. So that's made a big difference. For the people that are still here, I have to tell you, one of the things we've done that may not sound like a lot, but is food.
Mm.
And you know, the restaurants are all closed, drive-throughs are open, but restaurants are closed. And commuting in Southern California, well, it's a lot different now than it usually is, because there's a lot less traffic. Not everybody can go home for lunch. And so we have worked with local restaurants who are very anxious for the business to individually prepare and wrap food as safely as possible and make that available to our team. Because where do they go?
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we want them to be as comfortable and as safe as possible while they're serving our members and each other.
That's incredible.
Just a small thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it seems like it is the small things that people really remember. It doesn't necessarily have to be a huge gesture, but people appreciate the thought.
We have also, Lauren, you know, for our team that is serving our members face to face, and they don't really have any option. I mentioned we installed the plexiglass barriers, but we're also paying a salary differential for those teams. So they're getting a 25% increase in their salary while they're serving our members face to face. And that's a small thing too, but that's really helped. And those are our frontline team, right? Those are not the highest paid people in our organization, but at least we're acknowledging that they're taking on some extra risk serving our members every day.
That is so cool. So I have to ask, you know, we love all of the stories where everyone keeps their job, but for some of the people watching our video, that may not be the reality for their credit union for their position. So I'm curious, tough question, but what would you recommend if a credit union's in a position, or if a leader is in a position where they may have to lay off some of their staff?
Well, we don't plan to do any layoffs, and we've made that commitment to the team. But if we were in that position, there are enhanced unemployment benefits now, and so I know that that can be helpful in some locations, depending on their level within your organization. And maybe a furlough instead of a layoff is something, you know, where they still have their job. But to be clear, we're not going to do that at our credit union, but not every credit union is the same. We're all different in our own ways. So.
And I agree with Bill. We came out of the gate strong, saying we were people first. And while would not want to do a layoff, I do think the enhanced benefits that the government has come up with are helpful. So I think it's the connection and kindness we have here, but that kindness extends to being very transparent and very educational in terms of what other avenues are out there.
Right.
So I think we all have, in fact, I just got off a call a little while ago. We have people, basically the whole phase 3 of the stimulus, people are sort of on various sections, and I wanted our whole leadership team to understand all the pieces, because I think we all have an obligation to know that, to not only just for team members here, but if someone is in a branch and there is a member that has a question about these sorts of things, we want to be able to relay that as well.
Right.
We're getting lots of questions from members. Absolutely.
Cool.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, we're not in that situation where we're going to have to do layoffs, but in thinking through, you know, if that were to happen and we were ever to be in that situation, I think I would want to try to provide as much information and try to figure out as many resources as possible that would be available to kind of steer them and help them through that transition. But we're very fortunate as well, as Brian and Bill said, that we're not going to do that. And we, in the very beginning, told our staff we were going to take care of them. Even before the CARES Act passed, we had already committed to our staff that we were going to pay them, even if, you know, they had tested positive or came in contact and had to quarantine and all that, that we were going to take care of them and make sure that they were compensated throughout this.
That's amazing. Thank you. I know it's so great to hear the stories where, in all of your credit unions, where folks are able to keep their job. I know that every credit union is a little bit different. So for some of our listeners, hopefully that was helpful if you are in a different sort of situation. We are almost done and ready to wrap up here to be respectful of all of your time. I have one other question for you. How are you all doing personally? I know this is a tough time to be a leader. This is, especially for folks who are newer in leadership, but even for ones who have been leading for years and years. Do you have any good strategies for taking care of yourself and how you stay sane during times like this?
I can offer one thing not to do. Don't schedule a move 3 weeks in advance of a pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
So I did not know it was coming. My calendar planning wasn't very well, so that was tough. But on the serious side, I mean, I think we've all got to step away, and whether it's exercise or think, sort of, relax a little bit and clear your mind, or otherwise we're not going to be able to be calm and confident. So
Right.
to me, it's just carve out some space.
Yeah, you do have to take care of yourself. Obviously, I'm very fortunate because I live less than I live less than a mile from my office. So even though I am coming into the office, I can walk home for lunch and that sort of thing, get out, get a little fresh air. But it is important to take care of yourself. And well, I was supposed to be in Colorado this week. And so we just had a new granddaughter born this morning.
Oh my gosh.
So I missed that, but she brings a little light to this situation. So our granddaughter, Lila Elizabeth, was born in Colorado Springs this morning. So very exciting.
That's amazing. Congrats.
Yeah.
I think I would say the same thing, is that, it being, not only in a leadership role, but being the chief executive officer, at times it can feel overwhelming. You may feel that, I know I do a lot of times, I feel like I have to stay plugged in. I have to be there. I have to be available. If they need me, kind of 24/7. And you can sustain that for a certain amount of time, but then after a while you realize that you do have to unplug sometimes, and you have to give yourself permission. You have to say, it's okay, I got to take care of myself for a little while, turn it off, unplug, and go do something outside, gardening, lay by the pool, whatever it is that you like to do that gives you your downtime. Read a book, something that's not a management or a leadership book. But yeah, you have to give yourself permission to take care of yourself, because ultimately, if you don't, you need to be there to take care of your people.
Right. Well, and it seems even more important now because this crisis it's not like a sprint. It's not a one-time event. It's this like ongoing marathon of who knows when we'll be out of it. So
yes. And that's exactly what I told my team 3-4, whenever this started, the very first emergency response team meeting we had, I told them, I said, guys, I want you to realize that we can't make decisions just for the next 7 days or the next 14 days, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. And we're going to be here for probably a couple of months. So let's think about our decisions. Let's think it through and make sure that we're doing what's in the best interest of our staff and our membership for the long haul, because it's going to be a while.
We have that same conversation every day. No one truly knows how challenging this is going to be or how long it's going to be. And depending on who's on the stage at the press conference every afternoon, it's either short or it's going to be forever. And it's just, no one truly knows. So we're just trying to keep options open, be kind, stay connected, and do the best we can to serve our members.
Our members need us more now than ever. And whether that's over the phone or in a branch, we're talking about taking care of our team, but our team is taking care of our members. So that's really, we can't do it without them. So we have to take care of them. Absolutely.
Well, Rhonda, Bill, Brian, thank you so much for your time. If you had to pick one last thing for the audience to take away from this conversation and start doing right now, what would it be? Would it be communicating?
I would say you can't keep, there's no way to communicate too much right now.
Totally
Absolutely. Agree. Yeah. I would say if you think that, if you question if you're communicating enough, then you're probably not.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
I agree.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for your time. To everyone who is watching, thank you also for spending some time with us today. Hopefully these tips were helpful for you from the credit union CEO experts out there on how to take care of your staff, how to lead during really tough times. Again, Bill, Brian, Rhonda, thank you so much, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.